to another author interview. I am so excited because we are here with author Elle Beaumont, who happens to be my co-host for Young Adult Edition. Today we are kind of in a role reversal because she is being interviewed. So we are grilling her with questions today about her new book, Binding of the Sea. I'm super excited about this. We're going to have a great time. And if you are here with me live, I want you to ask all the great questions below. So jump into those comments, let us know what you're thinking, and hit Elle with your hardest questions possible about her brand new mermaid book. And if you are on the replay, we still want to hear from you. Jump into the comments, leave all your best questions. We will be going through these later on and getting those answered for you. And if you happen to have a really great question, I know for a fact I can drag Elle back onto the show to answer more fabulous questions. So if you come up with something amazing that we didn't answer on air, we will get her back on for more fabulousness with you. Thanks so much for joining us. Can't wait to hear from you. Hit up those comments. Elle, how you doing today?
Great. How are you?
I am good. I'm loving the flower.
Oh, thank you. I decided to go beachy with my Kraken in the background.
I know. It's also beachy and wonderful. You can do so much with mermaids, and I just absolutely love it. Amber is here hanging out with us. Hey, girl. Thanks for joining. We are taking fan questions, so if you have questions, leave those in the comments below. Elle, I want to jump right in to talk a little bit about your story, Binding of the Sea. So tell us just a little bit about what your story is about.
So Binding of the Sea is about Xenia, who's a student of Seleth Academy, which is a school where the elite merfolk attend to perfect their magical abilities. So not all mermaids in this story have the same power as one another. So she and her friend Drew are waiting to partake in this trial, which only takes place every 12 years. And during their waiting, they actually witness Prince Locke threatening an infamous sea witch of the community. And they're wondering why this prejudice is coming out. Like, if he's invited to sit on the trial, why is he attacking the sea witch? And during the trial, some secrets come out and trouble ensues, and it's up to Xenia and Drew to really stop this battle from happening and saving their kingdom. So that's what it's.
Which is really interesting. You write such interesting merfolk, and I know we actually have done another interview with Elle where she goes into this a little bit. So if you guys would like to see that, that will be up on our blog a little bit later today. Super excited. 10 unique questions that we're not asking here. So totally different answers. But I know you touched on this a little bit, but I kind of wanted to steer the conversation toward one particular character that I happen to like just a little bit. Actually, there's a couple of them that I'm like, we're going to talk a little bit about this because I want a little bit of information is all I'm saying. But I want to talk about Drew. You knew this was coming. You did know this was coming. And I know that he wasn't necessarily someone that you had intended on writing into the story as much as you did. So did you do this for me or like...
I was writing this particular scene where Xenia sits down in the stadium, and she is nervous and she doesn't know if she's going to pass. And I wanted her to have somebody there for immediate comfort, like just somebody to like kid around and relax and be like, hey, don't worry, like you got this. And I had no intention on naming this character. And originally it was going to be a girl, but I felt like I didn't feel anything. Actually, Drew just swam into this scene and he was like, no. Actually, we've been besties for years and she needs me. And we're going to do this together and we're going to rock this. We're going to rock this trial and we're going to blow the roof off. So Drew just swam into the scene, and his presence, I just worked everything out. And honestly, the readers absolutely adore Drew.
Amber is in the comments. She says, who am I going to ship? Amber, There's actually a couple possibilities here, and I'm undecided. I'm personally a little bit undecided because I want a little bit more. I know you've got some plans for this particular story, Elle, and
Yes.
I think I'm undecided at this point. But do you want to kind of tell? We talked about Drew a little bit. You want to talk about the other one?
Sure. Prince Rory is another part of this potential ship, and I already know how this is going to work out.
And I will know it at the end of this episode.
Yes. But if you're a Drew fan, like if you love Drew, you're definitely going to ship Drew and Zinnia. I'm going to say personally, I'd be happy with like any way this worked out, but I know the ending. So there's that. But
I have a 99% certainty I know where you're going with this. And we're going to talk about it later.
Sure. But I love Rory too. Rory is more of my kind of guy. He's sure of himself and he's a little bit of a rebel, and Drew is too, but in more of a goofy kind of way. He's more of like your guy next door. He's silly. He breaks the rules all the time. He is a nobleman's son, and Zinnia is from this farming village, and he should have nothing to do with her, but he does. And he sticks up for her, and he absolutely adores Zinnia. And she often refers to him as a barnacle. You know, like, he's my barnacle. He sticks to me no matter what. Like, but yeah, I mean, it's hard because Drew and Rory, but Rory is a prince and he's not in line for the throne so much. His older brother Locke is, and he doesn't care that he's a prince. He wants to be part of the people's world and not so much the royal world.
And I feel like we should break out into song here, but yes. You know, I just feel like that fits, but all right. Hey, listen, if you've got questions for Elle about her story, The Binding of the Sea, go ahead and drop your comments below. If you're on the rebroadcast, we want to hear from you too. We will be jumping down into those comments and getting those answered for you a little bit later. And listen, if you're having fun with us, if you're hanging out, you think this is totally awesome, do us a favor. Hit the share button, because when you hit the share button, that tells Facebook we are doing something good. And when Facebook realizes that people are here leaving comments, hitting that share button, and giving us reactions and likes, they are going to start sending this video to more people, which means we get Elle more fans. We get more people to come hang out with me for all of my live broadcasts and our live broadcast show, Young Adult Edition. And when we do that, we can get more fabulous authors on the show here for author interviews, for Young Adult Edition, and for all the fun, fabulous things we do here on Facebook.com/k.m.robinson books. So hit the share button, help a girl out, and let's let everybody know that we're doing all sorts of fun things over here. Amber is saying, I'm sure you'll make some, but... So Amber's got some opinions. What's the scented candle? Second part to that. What's the scented candle for your book? Elle, do you have one? She was totally prepared.
Actually, I actually, this is just here from a note, but I have like little cutie shells there.
She was totally prepared. She was all over the candles for these stories. I'm just saying, I've been on this journey with her, and it's pretty dang cool. Speaking of which, Elle, let's talk about that for a second. You actually make candles, but you have an entire line of bookish candles, which is pretty dang cool. Tell me how you got into doing that.
I make candles anyway, and I love reading, and you know, there are so many bookish candles that are out there now by different companies, and actually I wanted to branch into this because I've been doing it for almost 7 years now, and I'm like, why can't, I should have thought of that before now. And I spoke to you and I was like, hey, would you care if I made bookish candles for you? And you're actually the reason why I started like branching off and and like really exploring this. And Whereas most people do like big names and everything, I'm really trying to cater toward the smaller publishing houses and the indie authors because, you know, those big authors, not saying that they don't need marketing, but, you know, the little people, you know, they're they need lights shown on them too. Not saying I wouldn't definitely make candles for big names, but that is kind of like my niche. I like to focus on the smaller people because that's where I am.
And the thing I like about you, and I'm just throwing this out there, you always make sure you are working with the authors and you are getting opinions from them and you are having conversations with them. And a lot of people don't necessarily do that. And some people don't have the rights to do that. So you are very, very clear and very, very good about making sure everything you're doing is correct and within standards and really on the up and up. So I appreciate that as an author and as an entrepreneur who sometimes sees people doing things that they shouldn't be doing, and you are doing it the right way. So I just want to highlight that you are being awesome about it. If you have questions for Elle, now's a great time to drop them. Elle, I want to go back to your book a little bit. This is actually inside of an anthology right now. And when it releases, I know you have plans for this. So can you tell us a little bit about where you're going with your stories for this?
So this is actually going to be part of a collection. This is actually going to be working up to a big thing. So this is going to be part of several little short stories that end up compiling to be like the origins of what you're going to be hearing about in this big story. And you'll get nods to these characters, and you might even see cameos. I will say that Drew does end up in this big story. So because that's what he does. That's what he does. I will say again, I wasn't sure. Now this is like a bonus thing for you guys because I don't even, yeah. I knew the character that was going to be in the story. And I had no idea that he was going to end up being part of this character's story. And he ends up being part of the story. And he's just as amusing in this one.
I don't have details on this yet, guys. So I'm just kind of like, let me lean forward and listen.
Yeah.
Usually I have the inside track. I do not have the inside track on this one.
I've been busy this month. I've been like pounding those keys.
I know, because you and I talk like every single day, and I have seen so much less of you this month because you're just nano.
Yep.
So you are like busy. And I'm trying not to interrupt you as you're working because I know you have limited time to work. And I'm like, this girl must be writing so much. What is she doing?
Yeah, I've been working on a lot, but it's good because I've gotten a lot of ideas pounded out, outlined, and finished. I did finish one, woohoo, and halfway finished through another. So.
And speaking of which, Amber is in the comments, and she would like to know, when do we get the next story in this and maybe in general as well, because I know you've got other things happening.
So, yes. So the collection is actually going to be coming out in December. So you can wait for that. I'm going to have the entire collection out in December. I don't have an official date yet, but as soon as I do, you can look for it on my social media. So there we go. And as for another story, well, you get to see a big bad retelling in the Villains anthology that comes out in October. So,
which we're super excited about. If you guys have not been following along with us, we are putting out 3 anthologies every single year with open submissions to all sorts of amazing authors and up-and-comers. And we are putting these amazing collections together. So the first one that we actually did, Elle and I are the ones hosting this, was the Of the Deep Mermaid Anthology, which has both of Elle's mermaid stories in it. And so we've got the mermaid one. We've actually got a villain one coming out in October, which we're super excited about, which is Villain Retellings. And we're really excited about Elle's. I haven't read it yet. She hasn't let me see it yet, but I'm dying. Melanie's here hanging out. She's super excited for the big bad story. Amber says, heck yeah. We're really excited. I'm excited to see it. But we are right now putting together this amazing villain anthology. The stories are really, really awesome. We cannot wait for you to see it. It is going to be out in October, and we may need early readers, is all I'm saying. If that's something you're interested in, you gotta let us know. And we might just be able to get that to you a little bit early and get you a couple extra details, which we are dropping details on Young Adult Edition. So make sure you tune into those episodes every Monday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time right here on K.M. Robinson. Nope, right here on Facebook.k.m.robinson books. I always do that. But just a little shout out to our show. Elle and I are co-hosts of Young Adult Edition, and we are talking to authors and to book industry people. We talk to candle makers who do bookish things. We talk to people. We've got a lady coming on who makes paper statues out of books. It's amazing. We talk to all sorts of fabulous bookish people, and we talk about book world news. We bring you new releases. It's lots of fun every Monday, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here at facebook.com/k.m.robinson books. We'd love for you to join us. Hey, listen, we do need to wrap up in the next few minutes on this interview, but if you have questions, if you have comments, we want to hear from you. Hit us up in those comments below and get some really hard, tough questions for Elle, because we haven't thrown her off her game yet, and that was kind of my goal for this interview. So help a girl out. Let's get something a little bit hard for her. What do we want to hear about? Talk to me down in those comments. Elle, I know that you have some really interesting things going on with your mermaids, and in your story, you actually mentioned that Zinnia is wearing kind of a gown. Can you tell me a little bit about what that is, what that looks like, and how you came up with the idea to more fully clothe your mermaids a little bit more than we typically see in Disney?
I don't maybe because I wanted something that was a little bit more relatable. You often see shells. Well, that's just not practical. That's not practical to be wearing. That's gonna hurt. And I wanted, if you're not somebody that enjoys reading fantasy, I wanted it to be just a step more towards something that you could easily find yourself living in this. I'm going to say that my grandmother actually read both of my stories, and she's like, I don't read this stuff, but it was so easy to read and it was wonderful. And that was kind of my idea. Well, let's kind of humanize them a little bit more. And I wanted to stay true to Zinnia, who's really, she's crafty and resourceful, and she's from a farm village. She doesn't have a lot. So I wanted her to be able to use the world around her to craft these outfits that she would make. So I used kelp, and I actually did research into this, and you can actually use kelp to make fabric from. So there you go. You learn something new every day. The more you know. But you can use it to make fibers and everything. So I was like, well, okay, she's a farm girl. She can make her own dresses. She can use this kelp, harvest the kelp, and weave these beautiful dresses. And she wears loose flowing dresses because, again, we have to stay practical. That is Zinnia. She's practical. And she needs to be able to swim, and it shouldn't be too tight that she can't move around, and she doesn't want to restrict her tail. She doesn't want it to get in the way of her fins. So,
And I know she also has her signature bangles that she wears. Tell me how that came to be.
Zinnia, I don't actually know. It just it fit with her. She isn't super flashy, but she loves her dresses. Would I say she's a fashionista? Not exactly. She likes what she likes. She absolutely likes what she likes. And the bangles just happen to be something. I know her story years down the road. This is her origin story, if you will. I already know what she does down the road. And I'm going to say, I know that when she's mad or something, it was always something that she would jangle her wrist a little bit, and you could hear the bangles jangling. Or that's how you knew Zinnia was coming, because you could hear the jangling of her bangles. So it was like something that it was more something that announced her presence, something that you knew, oop, Zinnia's kind of mad. Like
That's funny. I love that. Amber does want to know a little bit more about your villain. So we've kind of steered clear of your villain within your story, but give us just a little hint as to what we're looking for with this villain. So we don't get too much away, but just a little taste.
So are we going to be talking about the villain in Binding or Brotherhood? Because the villain in Binding is not a mermaid anymore.
And that's all we're going to say, my friends. That's all we're going to say. Amber would also like to know, Zinnia marries the prince, right? She's already shipping him.
Are
you don't even know anything about him. What are you talking about?
Are you shipping him? Because, this takes place in the water, and ships do sink in the water. So
I like that. I do like that. Am I? Gosh, I haven't made up my mind yet, but I kind of have. I don't know what that means. That's cryptic. This is gonna be. You're just gonna tell me everything when we get off air. It's just gonna happen because I need to know now. I do. Amber, ships might happen. Might happen. Woo! Fun times. Fun times. Yeah, you need to meet Rory if you haven't already. I feel
man, I loved him.
Throw Locke into the mix too. Is all I'm saying. Like maybe we don't know him. Maybe we don't. Her face.
I can say that as the reader, you don't know Locke. You don't know him.
All right. Okay. I'm gonna get all the details later. Sorry, guys. Amber says yes because the other guy sounds nice, which means I will like this guy instead. So Amber doesn't like the nice guys, apparently.
Well, I have to say that Drew, yeah, he's nice, but he's just enough of a snarky guy that you could also easily fall in love with him. But I have to say, out of this triangle, it is very difficult for me because, and I'm not even saying that it's really a triangle.
I am.
It's hinted at. So
So, okay, so question though. I know you're doing kind of like the origin stories and it has kind of a couple of them in there. Are we going to know at the end of the origin collection who she's with, or is that something for the main part of the series?
You will definitely know at the end of the collection who she's with.
Okay, so in December, we're going to find out.
Yes. Yeah.
That's not too terribly tragic. We'll see, guys.
No, I'm sorry. I could potentially bump it up, but who knows? I'm busy writing other things, so.
She is, and she's got a lot going on that we didn't even talk about today that I happen to know a little bit about, is all I'm saying. So guys, keep your eye on Elle Beaumont. Speaking of which, Elle, we are at the end of our time. Tell everybody where they can find you.
You can find me on Instagram and Facebook at Elle Beaumont Books, and you can find me on Twitter at Elle Beaumont, and you can always find me on my website at ellebeaumontbooks.com.
Fantastic. Elle, thanks so much for joining me today. I do appreciate you being here. I know you and I hang out like every single day, and we're on air like every single day because we're just awesome like that. But I do appreciate you coming on and letting me harass you without being a co-host, for actually being an author, which is pretty cool. I'm actually, and I just get to say this for fun, I'm your second live interview. Yay!
Yay! Yes.
So exciting.
That's
so awesome. More to come, guys. If you have questions for Elle, go ahead and let us know in those comments, and we will get her back for more because, like I said, we always hang out. So if you've got questions, we'll just pop on Instagram Live later and we'll get those answered for you. It'll be lots of fun. It's going to be awesome. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We do appreciate you being here. I'm K.M. Robinson, author of the Siren Wars Saga, and you can hit me up at k.m.robinsonbooks.com and at k.m.robinsonbooks on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat. You can also look me up on YouTube, and make sure you check out my new IGTV channel with brand new content you cannot find anywhere else. And of course, if you have an author that you would like to see here on my author interviews, go ahead and hit up my comments below. make sure you are tagging the author to let them know that we need to be friends. We need to make a connection, and they should maybe consider coming on the show or doing one of the blog interviews. Speaking of which, Elle has just answered 10 amazing twisty questions for us, and those will be up on blog.k.m.robinsonbooks.com a little bit later today. We will be pulling this footage and adding it to the interview as well. So as soon as that's done, the blog post will be up for YOU to check out. Totally different, unique questions. So another side to Elle Beaumont within this blog post as well. And again, if you've got authors you want to see hanging out with me or with me and Elle over on Young Adult Edition, hit us up in those comments below. Let us know who they are, tag them, and introduce us to your author friends so we can do more fabulous things right here on facebook.com/k.m.robinsonbooks with our live interview series. Thanks, guys, so much for joining us. We appreciate you being here, and we will see you again next time. And of course, make sure you join us on Monday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for Young Adult Edition. Elle and I will be hanging out talking about fantasy books. We have a number of amazing authors coming on to talk all about their fantasy books, and we would love for you to join us as well. 10 a.m. right here, facebook.com/k.m.robinsonbooks, and every 10 a.m. on Mondays for Young Adult Edition. Brand new topics, brand new authors, lots and lots of fun. We'll see you there. Until then, stay inspired. Bye-bye.